will be strong. Trickster's ass.
That
I want to give behavior a little credit. I do think they realize how much of a fuck up that all kill was, and I don't want to say like they'll improve tremendously, but I don't think they'll do something as bad as Trickster, in my opinion.
Oh, come on. The Twins launch was terrible. The Clown launch, the buff one bugged the game. Like, do they think if they really care about did the mistake, they would not do it again? Like, they do it again and again and again and again and again. It's not a mistake anymore. It's like a system in their mind right now. It's like, it will be, again, I want a release like Silent Hill, where you have strong killer where people complain about, and then gets nerfed in 1 minute, in
Wait,
1
was
week.
someone complaining when Executioner came out? Was
Yeah.
Absolutely.
His
Yeah.
problem
Absolutely,
was-
everyone
Yes,
complained about him.
Yep.
What people's problem was is the fact that when you put your sword on the ground, and if the survivor's going through a window, you either hit them through the window with the damned, or you can instantly go out of it and M1 them, and that's what people complained about, really the biggest thing. And they made it where, you know, the slowdown of pulling it in and out of the ground.
Right, okay, guys, so...
Are we still on the Resident Evil?
Yeah, we're still talking about Resident Evil. Guys in chat, can you hear me now? Sorry, you guys have just been chatting away about Resident Evil and we weren't even live. This is a definition of me having a nightmare here, so hopefully... Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ah, they can hear me now. Right, okay, sorry about that, guys.
I can't see your icon on the stream, though.
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
Talking.
Yeah, technical issues. So we are back. We are live. We've got Airless, Captain Salty. This is the third time I'm saying this now. Merv, Rosie, and Scrubby. So we were just talking about the Resident Evil chapter. Rosie had said that wasn't too happy about it in regards to just papering over the cracks. And the guys were just chatting about Resident Evil. Merv wants to speak about Legion, which we'll discuss later. But we're back on now, guys. So I am really sorry about that. That was a bit of a... yeah. So...
By the way, don't worry, Jay, about Legion. It's not urgent. It can wait.
Yeah. No, that's fine. We'll use that at the end. We'll talk about any other business, things like that. Okay, guys. So... We've spoke about Resident Evil on the last bit. I know you didn't really hear what I said about it, but I was talking about, was it sort of released early because the Trickster had flopped quite badly, things like that. So we were just discussing about that. And I think we've probably done Resident Evil now. Pop in the chat, let me know who you think it's going to be. Do you guys have any ideas using the clues, things like that, who it could be?
Well,
You saw towards the end, like you saw towards the end where like there was like a black substance like covering the screen.
Yeah.
That could be the mold. You never know. I mean, maybe I'm just dumb, but that's what I see.
The killer. You were asking who the killer is going to be.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas?
The killer. They kind of showed it already. That the X, that thing, on the not a teaser. At the end of the teaser, you could see like behavior X, Resident Evil. Maybe Mr. X. I think it's like 85% that is going to be Mr. X because, well, it's kind of obvious. Nemesis is kind of, well, it would be cool, but it would be like either overpowered, either not, even more terrible aesthetically than Trickster. So.
Yeah. But we'll see. Right, let's move on, guys. Since we had our last podcast, they've done a PTB since then. So we've got Freddy nerf, Demogorgon buff. I'll put a question mark on that. And Huntress, some changes there. What do you guys think about all that?
what a joke.
It's
Terrible across the board.
What a joke.
No, I wouldn't say terrible across the board, but at least for the Huntress changes, they're really boring.
What
The
I
only
think,
thing I think is cool
about
is like the
that.
speed.
About the add-ons for Huntress, it's a good idea. It has some potential, but it shouldn't be an add-on. I mean, come on. When she is out of the hatchets, she should move with 115 with the basic speed. Like, it shouldn't be an add-on. Same as once again Legion's fatigue. 3 seconds basic fatigue, and make Joey's mixtape and Cold Dirt do something else, and boom, Legion's fatigue is fixed. He did if his fatigue was like 3 seconds, then it wouldn't even need a single add-on to reduce it. But Huntress is like I said, it's a very good potential idea, with making her move faster. And the iridescent head nerf was it's healthy for the game. It will bring more like efficient like the player who plays Huntress, he will need like, oh, I have only one hatchet, I need to use it with you use it the smart way, not just spam 3 hatchets at survivors.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good
Regarding that,
Yeah.
do you guys believe, I've been hearing other people say this, do you believe now that using iridescent head is worse than just base hatchets?
Excuse me, I didn't.
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. It just all depends. I think you have to be skillful to use iridescent heads now, whereas before you had that little scope of margin for error.
Basically, what they did, they just made this add-on independent from other add-ons that touch your amount of hatchets. But the second, the new pink add-on, which makes her move 115, is good, but it shouldn't be a red add-on. Come on, Huntress is.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Huntress is rarely out of hatchets, so she wouldn't be like spamming her ability to move with 4.6. So she could. I mean, if you have issues with Huntress' speed, you can just take play with your food perk. It's kind of good for her, but still, I don't think her speed should be determined by pink, red, iridescent.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. What were you going to say, Alice?
I think regarding the add-on, I like the idea of it, but I think it would be a lot more interesting instead of just like when you're out of hatchets, you're just base 5% faster. Every time you lose a hatchet, you throw a hatchet, you don't have one, you're 1% faster until like if you like throw 3 hatchets, 3% faster. So if you're out of hatchets, you're still moving the same speed, but you still get a bit more powerful as you lose hatchets because you're like a little bit faster each time. One hatchet, 1%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would make sense. Scrubby, conscious you've been quiet at the bottom there. How's your thoughts on the PTV?
I mean, aside from like the perk changes, like for the Freddy nerfs, that's a joke. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. That's a complete pander to survivors. He, in my eyes, didn't need a nerf. He's annoying to go against because I play both survivor and killer. I have way more hours on survivors as opposed to killer, but I can confirm that he's not the most fun killer to go up against. He is annoying late game, especially when teammates don't know how to just squat on a gen and they just run around the map aimlessly. But as far as like nerfing his puddles, like that is so pointless because honestly I don't think that's what made him powerful.
Yeah.
That helped him in chase, but that wasn't really what I thought was his issue. I think is his mobility around the map, his ability to teleport to gens and just create pressure along with like perk combos. So Ruin, I think you used Thrilling Tremors, was it, Jay? In one of your videos you were using? Yeah. Just that kind of combo just allows him to get pressure around the whole map. I think that was more of an issue, more so than his puddles, but that's just my thought.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So, can I say something about twins?
We'll
Oh,
just...
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Go on then. Twins.
Yeah, they got nerfed bad. So, Charlotte can move. No, it's not a complete nerf, but Charlotte can move while she's while the player turns back to her from Victor. I don't know if she can move. Can she move when she?
No, it's just the camera.
She just can move. I don't know what it's going to affect. Probably just you could just see where survivors are. Kind of useful, but still not. It's not going to make her stronger.
Yeah.
However,
the cooldown after Victor misses. Is
No, it's
5
hits.
seconds.
It's hits. Like you're punished for hitting your attack.
Yeah, it's a bug.
Oh,
I already.
It's 5 seconds instead of 3 seconds. Well, it's kind of
But that was in the patch
nothing
notes.
changed. It's almost nothing. Doesn't change anything. Almost. Warfare add-on.
Yeah. Alice, you agreed and disagreed about the puddles. Do you want to elaborate on that?
About the Freddy changes in general.
Yeah.
I agree they didn't get to the core problem of what makes Freddy so just unfun, really, with his mobility, and his synergy with. I mean, you can't really nerf synergy with perks, but just like with his teleport, if you make that last longer, that's fine. But on his puddles, I do think they did need to get a change, and I think the change you got, aside for the most part, is good because the strong thing with puddles is that you place them down in 0.75 seconds. You're not slowed at all, and you had like what 8 of them, you know?
Yeah.
That was when you're in a chase. Like you have no downside of doing that. They're so strong with like barely any thought going on.
Basically, Freddy
I think-
didn't change.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think with the changes to the puddles, and I streamed on Tuesday with the changes, and
You
obviously
should know the most.
yeah, the change I don't think is going to really affect him, because what it did affect was when sometimes you're going to put a snare down and it doesn't put it exactly in the spot, so you're holding it while you're getting it on the right spot. That's all it's going to affect. But when you're in chase, because the slowdown only happened at the end of once it charged up, or that's certainly how it felt on Tuesday for me. So it wasn't a case of as soon as you pressed to put the snare down, you slowed down, unless it happened gradually, but it only happened, you could only feel it at the very end once it charged, it's ready to put down. So I did demonstrate a few times where actually if you're playing a game, you're just pressing puddle on each side of the loop, and then that was that. There wasn't anything, unless you were really holding the button down to put it down, there wasn't really any much of a slowdown there. In regards to the numbers, I think because he has the ability to just recycle them, you use them at the loops anyway. So I'm not bothered about a snare I put down, 10 minutes ago and do another loop. Doesn't matter if that's still down, I'll just recycle it to where I'm at. So I do think they missed what they should be changing if we're expecting it. And I did put on the video that I do expect Freddy to still have a high kill rate. I really do. I think they've missed a trick with what they wanted to do. The biggest power...
Can you remind me, does he have the highest kill rate right
He's got the highest kill rate in the game, yeah. So even in red ranks, he's averaging 3 kills a game. And I think with the changes they've done, I can't really see that changing much. But it depends how people play with him. I put on there, I don't really use him much for chase. I'm not the best at chase personally. For me, Freddy is all about the pressure around the map. So it depends how people play him. I've watched people playing him during the week, and they've played him probably a little bit different than what I would. Will that affect their kill rate? I'm not sure. I think if they're looking at nerfing Freddy, I think they've missed a trick with what they've done, which I'm happy with, because I've said all along, Freddy is... He's not a top tier killer, and I am going to put a video on. I played Brother Phoenix is in the chat at the moment. I played him and his Swift team last night, and that'll show how he plays against a top tier killer, against top survivors in the game. They're a tournament team, they're very good players. They know what to do, and you'll see how good Freddy can do against them. He's not a nurse or spirit, but he's certainly one of the stronger killers, I would say.
Well, it's a good thing they took down those dream pellets. They were really ruining the game. I'm glad that's finally down a peg.
Well, all right. Here's my 2 cents on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I played Freddy yesterday as well, and I think it's interesting that you say that you only feel the slowdown when your snare is fully charged up. Because I don't know about anybody else. I read that as soon as you start to activate your snare, you go to 110. But if it really is when the snare is fully charged up, the only thing that's really there to do is punish people that consistently hold the snare, and that's not how I play them. I'd use the snare sparingly. So, and then the synergy.
Can you stop interrupting each other, please? Thanks.
Go on, Rosie. Go on.
Then, so that he puts them down, and you're very sparingly going to be getting slowed down. Especially sometimes I didn't even move as I placed the snare down at a certain tile. It depends on where you need it. But my problem with the whole nerf is they didn't even really think about what to even nerf on him. They just nerfed everything. They nerfed every single thing about him. They buffed alarm clocks, they nerfed his snares, they nerfed his pallets, they took his oblivious away, which, buffing borrowed time to take his oblivious bullshit away, because I think everybody can agree that Freddy didn't really need to, have Oblivious in the dream world to like camp. You know what I mean? He's not a camping killer. I don't
Yeah.
think he needed that at all in his playstyle.
Yeah, exactly.
But my problem is with that is they have now buffed borrowed time to beat everybody else. Like Ghostface can't deal with borrowed time anymore. Wraith can't deal with borrowed time anymore. They gave a meta perk a huge buff to deal with Freddy, and I think that was really absurd.
Well, to counter your point, to counter what you said, I think the reason they did that was because you would have like a pig or Ghostface just standing near the hook, and that way they can just go through borrowed time. And keep in mind, they also lowered how long you have the endurance status effect for. So if you still want to get them down, it's easier than it was before. I think
like
the
3
buff to
seconds.
borrowed time, the buff to borrowed time really was to prevent the killers who were just camping with the status effect, especially Basement Bubba. Even though it doesn't really stop him, you can just go through it, but it's really just to stop them from just proxy camping undetectable. I think that's the point of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, for me personally, I think it's hit Freddy because of that. Again, I understand what you're saying though, because the playstyle with Freddy, you hook, especially when I'm using pop and thrilling, and then I'm out of there anyway. I'm off to go to regen, so I didn't really, and I probably won't suffer from the borrowed time thing. But for me, that seemed to be what they were aiming at there. Any other thoughts, guys, on Freddy before we move on? Go on, Mev.
Yeah, the add-ons.
For
black
Freddy.
box- yeah, for Freddy, the black box. When the gates open, the entity blocks the gates for sleeping survivor for 10 seconds. Was that buffed?
That's certainly a different add-on altogether. So with
So
the
it basically prevents survivor from escaping for 10 seconds.
I haven't tried it, but supposedly if the survivors are asleep, then
I
they
just never
cannot
heard, I
exit.
just never heard about that add-on.
It's new.
So
It is new.
it's a new add-on.
Yeah, it's a new add-on. So they've put in an add-on where, for the people that don't know, a black box I think it's called, is it, Mev? And
so-
basically what that does is if a survivor falls asleep, they can't leave the exit gate. I did try it the other day, but the survivor, I don't know if you remember if you were at the stream on Tuesday, but the survivor kept pointing to the exit gate rather than just getting out, and I was wanting to see if I could escape or not. So I didn't actually get to try it. But yeah, that's a brand new pack, and it's the same with add-on. It's the same with the chains now. The chain add-ons are all about sound and
Yeah.
things like
Big
that.
whoop.
Yeah.
Some words about Freddy. I just needed to correct about this add-on. I just didn't see it before. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised that's a new add-on. So they added new add-ons for Hunters and Freddy, I guess.
Yeah. So some of the add-ons, part of the rework for all the killers is they are
So,
changing the add-ons.
Personally, when I was playing against Freddy, I was like, I lost 9 games from 10 against
Right.
Freddy. Seems to me like Freddy and Ghostface are my ass kickers. They kick my ass almost every game. And I'm not like a strong survivor, but still the point stays. People were complaining about Freddy's launch attack. It was kind of long. So even now after nerfs, Freddy will still hold his position, and he will be like a menacing, scary killer.
I'm going to counter what you're saying there, Merv, because this is what I hear, and this is what I think is the problem, and I'm sure most of the guys might back me up with this, but when survivors say he's my worst killer, I always think survivors, I'm not saying this is you, Merv, by the way, but survivors in general don't want to use the brains and work out how to counter that killer. Remember when Pyramid Head came out last year and everybody was up in arms? This is a killer, it's ridiculous, he's uncounterable because he had his range attack, he could mind game of pallets, things like that, and survivors were up in arms. And I mean, Pyramid Head's not even one of the, top tier killers now. When I say top tier, the top 2 obviously. He's not in there, but with Freddy, it's all about staying awake, and I know it's easier said than done, and splitting up on the gens. He is counterable. So, but I agree with what you're saying, because I struggle against Ghostface. So when I'm playing against Ghostface, I don't like coming against him, but would I then turn around and think he needs to be nerfed or buffed, or do I need to improve and change my gameplay when I'm playing against Ghostface?
Yeah, the problem with Ghostface is I just don't want to play with Spine Chill 24/7. That's
Yeah.
why
But then, yeah, but
Hey.
but I think what you're saying there, as I say, like as I say, I'm not having a go. I hear it in the community a lot, and I just think, well, killers should be able to play whoever they want, and it's down to survivors to counter them killers, not bring the killers down because survivors are complaining they can't play against them. That's just my. I don't know if anyone agrees or not. Obviously, if you disagree, then by all means, please have your say.
I completely agree. The only problem was with Freddy that he's an average killer and he has anti-loop, and it was kind of hard to counter him with while looping him, whatever it was. Even if it's a strong loop, he could just appear out of nowhere and just screw you over with that big lunge attack. He always got me.
He hasn't got a big lunge attack. I'm going to stick up for my boy here. He's got a standard 115 range killer attack.
Yeah,
it's just because he's shorter.
I know he has the same lunge attack,
Yeah.
but it's still kind of visually.
Yeah. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Because he doesn't have weapons. That's why.
Yeah, it is.
It definitely gives him an advantage, and I don't mean like a huge one, but like I think a lot of stuff about Freddy is just super misleading. Like his stain's kind of hard to see when you're asleep, and he's short too, so you can't really see him over loops. And with the whole like one snare on each side of the loop thing, which he can still do, that's hardly been nerfed.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's OP, but I'm just saying he definitely does have like a little bit more than an M1 killer.
Oh, he does.
Just a little bit.
Without a doubt. That's why I play him. I think he's one of the strongest killers. Just
Got here late, by the way. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Just want to quickly jump onto the chat. Brother Phoenix mentioned, now I'm not aware of this, guys in the podcast, the devs are just doing what Otstava said in his community patch. Was this part of the things he'd mentioned in the community patch? Does anybody know?
What was that again?
Brother has put on, let me just go back to that message. He said the devs are just doing what Otstava said in his community patch.
No,
Really?
object.
I haven't watched
completely-
that in a while, so I don't
the
remember
object
what's in
change is
it.
completely ignored.
If they don't listen to Fog Whispers, they will definitely not listen to Alstara. Come on.
Well, they don't do that already.
Yeah. Otstava is a fog whisperer, yeah. The BT change, clown change, so they were all. I didn't watch Otstava's video about the community changes, so I'm a bit rusty in that. Yeah. All right.
Well, I did. Otz's object change was he said that while the person object should give no or seeing at all, just when the person that's running that perk is getting chased, everybody else gets a buff to gen repairs. Which I mean, they
Busted.
kind of did something with
That's fucking busted.
Yeah, I know.
I don't agree.
I'm glad they did.
I like
It's
the
not
object
as
now.
good as yes.
Well.
I mean, there was
Dude.
a couple his ideas of balancing killers, which I mostly agreed on. But once again, he's just a fog whisperer. They're not gonna listen to him. So
All right.
I guess. But
On that point, do you guys like the new object? I love it. I think it's a fun perk now, and I'd probably run it
I
more.
forgot
But
how I rarely went against objects. Can you remind me how the old one worked? I really don't
Oh,
remember.
it's
well, you
see
look at the killer,
whenever
you see him.
want.
So
It was
basically,
busted
it
and
shows,
survived with friends.
It shows
If you get-
the
yeah.
aura of killer to
It's-
the object carrier.
if the survivor, yeah,
Can
the
we stop
survivor's
interrupting
looking.
each other? Man, it's not the children's garden here. Like, what the fuck is the wrong?
I think it's
You
just because
adults,
people are talking. Yeah, I
keep
think
the
people
rules.
Because he keeps guessing what it does instead of just waiting for the answer.
Yeah.
But regardless, it doesn't matter. But all it does is, if you're looking in the direction of the killer, you and the killer can both see each other. If you're in the killer's terror radius, it turns off. That's it.
So the confirmed change was it's obviously a nerf and it's going to be more healthy, I guess. But after the nerf, will anyone run object of obsession? Like after the DS nerf, almost I even stopped seeing people being obsessed, people being obsession while I'm a killer. So like, oh, there's no obsession, there's no DS. So will it be the same with object of obsession? That's what bothers me the most. Because once again, before all these nerfs, I'm kind of surprised they're even nerfing survivors perks, because I thought it never would happen. But When before these nerfs, I went when I was playing killer, I used to clash against DS users almost every game because they abused it. They were fixing gens in front of my face, and they just get themselves down, and then they just DS me and waste another 4 seconds and maybe a minute of my time when I tried to chase them after they DS me. So the current object of obsession is completely broken because even if it's a survivor friends, they can tell the object carrier. They don't even need 4 objects. They just need only 1 object to tell where killer is constantly. And if that guy who's running object of obsession, if he's good at chasing, that's just basically a GG, and the killer will not be able to do anything. Especially if it's a closed map, and if you're not playing nurse. So yeah, it's basically GG. So object of obsession, if it's not a Swift, it's kind of winnable. But if it's a survivor friends, the killer kind of will
Yeah.
kind of
I think against any survivor friends, especially for on comms now, I think you're always on the back foot. And who said they actually liked the object change? Was that you, Alice?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more fun and interactive, and I expect a lot more people to start using it because it's actually a lot more interesting than the old version, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Okay,
I
what
will
did
just use it to have an obsession in the game because I'm hating it when I have a killer, when I'm playing killer, and I see, oh, no one has D-strike, so there's no obsession, so basically you are just tunneling because there's no punishment for that shit. So I want to have an obsession. That's why I'm playing Save the Best for last, because it's always a guessing game if they have D-strike or not.
I'm
And-
gonna counter what you said. You said
You need an
tunnel-
obsession. You need an
tunneling. You
obsession.
said tunneling, slugging, tunneling, and camping is fine. That's the way killer wants to play. He has every right to tunnel, camp, and slug. It's a part of the game. It's just if killer is being stupid with it, he will get punished for it. If killer, there are 2 ways to camp, or slug, or tunnel. The stupid one and the smart one. When the end game collapse starts, and you have hooked only 1 person. I mean, what else you can do? I mean, people will call you a stupid camper, which you won't be because, well, you kind of trying to confirm your kill because they gen rushed you and you just want to take at least 1 of them and still get the entity displaced. So yeah, I mean, I don't see the point in this whole idea with creating anti-tunnel perks, anti-slug perk, like Unbreakable DS. The idea was if they gave killers the opportunity and abilities to slug and camp and tunnel, if they didn't want killers to do these 3 things, they would forbid them from the beginning, from in the first place. Why creating an anti-tunnel perk if you can just
It's not fun.
you can just they could just make something in the game that would punish someone who tunnels. Maybe increase the gen speed, but the gen speed.
Whoa. Increase gen speed. I'm gonna
No way.
out.
Oh my god, bro, that is
No,
not.
I heard
Alright.
you hear.
That's
I
like
heard
the
you say-
opposite direction.
You misunderstood me. I don't
Can I-
want gen.
I
don't
heard
want
that
gen
if
Can I
you
say
say
something?
increase gen speed, Otofu comes out of the ground going ah.
Can
Yeah.
I say something?
Yes, of course you can, Scrubby.
Yeah. One thing that definitely is concerning to me about this object change is the fact that you do get the gen speed increase every, what is it, 30 seconds? Or
Well,
actually,
it's
no,
the
in
same
the
thing as
Warriors.
Spine Chill, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, Spine Chill isn't really used all that often, at least from what I've seen. I don't know if you guys have experienced it differently.
The problem is
They're
there are many
playing
ways
right.
that you can go.
Can you
What
shut
else-
up and stop interrupting people, man? Scruppy was talking.
I mean, I think the caveat with Spine Chill is at least the killer has to be looking at you. With Object, they don't. Like, if they get like a barbecue like pop or something, and you're across the map, and like there's like 2 people on the gen,
Yeah.
and you're both running Object, you're both getting that 6% increase. Like, you can literally pop a gen insanely fast. Like, and if one of them's the obsession, it's even faster because it's once every 30 seconds you also get like your aura revealed. So it's a consistent 6% every 30 seconds if you're just jockeying gens the entire game.
Yeah.
it's kind of nerfed to Huntress because it's a full aura reading killer. And like if you have barbecue, oh, they can see you as well. Oh, if you have bitter murmur, oh, they can see you as well. It's just good for punishing people using barbecue, but I don't think barbecue is that much an issue that you need to punish them for using it. You know, it's like just think about meta killers like Huntress, for example, that is full aura reading, or Plague needs full aura reading build to know where everyone is, and then they can see the Plague all the time, every time Plague sees the aura, which is an issue. But I think the new object is a healthy addition to the game, and far better than what Oddstava suggested to change object to.
Let me just quickly jump to the chat, guys. So, Reaper Tech, well, in the chat, more people should look at balancing from an individual standpoint, because on Identity 5, balances hunters around the balance and the survivors, but the keepers hunters fun and good still. Hamid, I will ask us again, what do you think about the new Coldwind farm changes? So what we'll do, we'll come to that in a bit, Hamid. Brother Phoenix, Clown is basically the same as Ott said, and Wraith too. Reaper Tech, every DBD survivor complains about characters as fun and good and gets nerfed because survivors aren't learning to get good. Well, I agree with that in a sense, and just complain, which is frustrating because a fun killer becomes trash. We balance this game too much around survivors' fun rather than good perks and killers, and a challenge for good players. What about killers' fun?
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, of course, really yeah.
The reason why that these devs have trouble is because they're too shitty to do both. You can balance around fun and also competitiveness, but these devs suck dick, so this whole community has been brainwashed into thinking that you can only have one. I genuinely believe that. It's just, if we's were any better devs, this wouldn't even be a discussion. Like, killers wouldn't be arguing about survivors, but what's more important, fun or competitiveness? Because the devs would be able to balance both easily. But
mentality too, and all the interviews and shit, and all the condescending patch notes too. That P9 should never write those patch notes.
Oh my god, dude!
It's filled with condescension. That's where it comes from. That's where the whole argument comes from. It's really not fun for survivors to go against this. Like, something like that'll get said in the fucking patch notes for the game, and that's where it comes from. Which, I mean, you're probably right, Kurt. You're probably right. But that's just something that they fostered, and it's probably going to stay for a long time for that reason.
Let me say something about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to present, 2 points, but I think it was a couple weeks ago. I was in Hexy's stream, and at one point in the stream, I think Queen was in there, and it was in relation to Trickster and, the Trickster buffs and, what he thinks could have been done. This is before, obviously, the most recent changes that were made, but Queen was saying that they write down all the ideas that they got in about what could be done with the killer, and I think one of the ideas she said was the Trickster could teleport to his knives or something. Why would you even write that down? That is such a dumb idea, and it's ideas like that just totally butcher this game because they write down crap ideas that shouldn't even be considered, which throws them off the trail of good ideas that can actually make these killers balanced. Why would you even consider that? That shouldn't even be written down on the paper. That's such a joke.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be some kind of barrier for entry. They have all these things that they surveys that they put out, asking people's hours and how long they've been playing and everything, and then dude, honestly, if I were the devs, I would secretly, anybody that puts their hours in a certain point, just sort of shove them off to the side or whatever, and then be okay, these people want this, let's find a happy medium, and if anything sounds ridiculous, it's probably coming from a ridiculous person, and see who it's coming from. But
facts.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Apex. You can have fun and you have a balanced game. It's something like that.
Yeah. Just before we move on, guys, Merv, increase in gen speed. You've said that. I was joking when I jumped in and was like, "Whoa, yeah, increase gen speed. Turn me off." What did you mean? Nice and quick.
I didn't mean increase the. We're all killer mains here, and I would never say any stupid thing like that. But I mean, there is a better way to punish tunneling killers. I mean, once again, it doesn't have to be punished. Killers play how they want, right? So why would you punish a killer who tunnels, slugs, and camps? So, I mean...
Because it's boring.
It's boring for you, but not boring for killer.
I'm a killer main. I have 3,500 hours. I have 3,900 hours in this
Well, I
game.
guess killers have different mindsets as well. Someone wants to win, someone wants to gain points, and someone plays just for fun. Maybe tunneling is fun for them, so we can't really sure. So they need to watch for
I think
who they punish.
I think with my approach with the game is I do. Hang on, 2 seconds, Mav. 2 seconds. My approach to the game is that I do play casually. I do play it a lot lately because I've been on record and saying I'm enjoying the game at the moment, so I'm enjoying it. But I'm playing it casually now. Some people play competitively, and I didn't think of it from that point of view until I spoke to Captain Salty. The first time we spoke, and I was just like, this guy takes it serious and plays to win. And you see other content creators are exactly the same, they're playing to win. So I think it's just a different mindset. Now, is it wrong that people play to win? I don't think it's wrong. That's entirely their opinion. Is it wrong if people are playing casually? And I think that's where the hard thing is for the devs to balance, is that it's a fine line between the two. So people who will play casually will enjoy the Trickster. They like the Trickster. I only didn't like the Trickster because I don't really like range killers, and I didn't like how he was when he came out. I'm probably not going to play him, but that's just one out of, however many players have got who probably won't enjoy him regardless. I don't enjoy playing as Huntress. She's a popular killer. It's just my personal opinion. However, with the attitude, so is it wrong if killers slug and tunnel?
It's not, because you need to do that sometimes to win.
Sometimes you're left with no choice but to get that. I'll always say, and I've said it before, you do need to look at the situation to see how you got that in that position. So there will probably be mistakes that have happened, or you could just be against a very, very top team. And that is how they're going to play. You might need a slug and camp, but I think that's a problem. I think everyone has to play it differently, and we can't sit here and say that killer shouldn't play like that, or these survivors shouldn't play like that. And it is annoying sometimes, but ultimately everyone's just got to play the way they get fun out of it. So for us, it wouldn't seem fun and okay. For you, if I said to you, right, there's a game, go tunnel and camp, it sounds like you're not going to have fun playing it. And it wouldn't be fun for me either, but for some killers, they'll be like, yeah, let me at them. Sorry, Scrubby, were you going to say something there?
Yeah, I will say, the whole camping and slugging thing, that is a complete, not 100%, but I would say a vast majority of the time, that is a byproduct of what happens when you make one side way too powerful, aka the survivors. When the survivors completely, I'm being generous here, this is my inner survivor kicking in, but I'll say, a generous 95%, right? I would say 5% is the killer. They can certainly do things at loops to try to force mistakes out of survivors, but at the end of the day, a good survivor will know how to loop. They'll know when to do gens and when to save, and killers are forced into crap positions. Now, are there killers out there who enjoy camping, enjoy slugging? Yes, that sucks. But, if you're an average killer who just wants to go in and have fun, they're not gonna be like, oh my god, I gotta camp for the whole 2 minutes and 3-hook this guy. No, I wanna hook. I wanna go have fun, go chase other survivors. I don't want to have to camp or have to slug. But then I get the toxic messages after the game when you want to pound 4 gens in my face after one chase, and then you get mad that I slugged you.
Yeah.
That's usually what you should do
Another
is
issue
reply.
about that is the killers that are capable of actually getting the downs at the rate needed, aka Nurse and Spirit, the amount of bullshit that they have to have at a tile to actually do that. The core of the game is not healthy for the 115 killers. The absurdity. Nurse has to blink through the entire map to ignore everything that's on it. That's ridiculous. And this game has needed core balance adjustments for a long, long time. And I say, if you make killers core better, and to where a 115 killer can reliably get 8-9 hooks a game, even when they're losing, I think that will decrease camping and slugging. I do. I really think that.
Yeah. No,
Well, yeah.
Another thing I wanted to say about anti-tunneling, maybe a deliverance can be considered as a anti-camp perk. I don't know, but sometimes these three perks they punish people who don't tunnel and camp. So you just with the old DS when a guy was working on a gen and he just runs to your face, you down him, and he just DSs you, wasting more of your time. It's kind of unfair because it punishes people who don't tunnel and slug. That's the problem of these perks, and I'm glad DS got nerfed, and I hope Object of Obsession will surprise us in a good way as well.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Right, let me just quickly jump onto the chat, guys, again. Renjiro mentioned you only tunnel if you have to, or one place to have fun. Yeah, I mean, that's generally my approach, and I hate it when I'm a survivor and I get hard tunneled. If it's my mistake and I'm standing around and the killer finds me, then fair enough. But if we're waiting for me to be hooked, then yeah, it's quite frustrating. Brother, why just stop nerfing and buffing killers in a horrible base game? They should just fix the base game and the balance on a solid foundation. Yeah. People have mentioned about Jack on Resident Evil. I believe, is he off Resident Evil 7? I'm not sure myself, but people have been mentioning him quite a lot. Slugging is okay. It's an opinion. Yeah, that's fair enough. Can you review concepts on live stream? I'm not going to do that today, Alex. People mention Nemesis, Mr. X quite often. Just going back to what Hamid asked, guys, because I had my own opinion. I mentioned him on stream on Tuesday. What do you think of the new Cauldron farm for the people that played them?
I think it became brighter than it was. They almost all maps that get reworked, they become brighter. For example, Ormond. Remember how dark it was before the rework, and I don't even know. I don't remember if it was survivor sided back in the day, but now it's kind of good for killers killers that walk, not flying around like Nurse. But the Coldwind map, I like it visually. I haven't downloaded the PTB, so I cannot tell anything about the balance from the balance side.
Okay, visually it looks very good. I mean, obviously it's daylight as well, so when you mention about brightness, it is bright daylight now. Any guys who played it on the PTB? Any thoughts on it?
I think it's going to end up being survivor-sided just because a lot of the loops are sort of clumped up. But for right now, I think it's a gorgeous map. You know, a lot of the stuff bounces with Blight. I tested that, so that's nice. You know, I'm not going to get my hopes too up, but like it's probably going to be like not in the higher end of survivor-sided maps, but like still probably survivor-sided. There's a lot of like it's still the same issue where it's all the loops are lined around the outside and they chain into each other.
Yeah. That's what I thought when I played it. Captain Salty, I think you played it. Did you play the PTB, Captain Salty?
Yeah, but and I think the new Thompson House main building is stupid because they added the window and they added the breakable wall, make it as God window, making you as a killer lose time just breaking the shitty doors that shouldn't be there in the first place. It's like they made this roof thing on Thompson House could be infinite with Villain's Landing.
Be really easily.
Did they? I have not played on it, but did they put like when I said last week, how before all these reworks came around and they just added just a doorway by the loop on Abattoir. Did they put a breakable wall there?
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew they would.
Awesome.
I knew they would.
They made it open before because it was a god loop before, and then they added the fucking hole there, so it wasn't that strong, and now they added the breakable wall where there was a hole before. It's like, why? And then McLean was, oh, look at this, you break this door, and then this window is useless. This window is still fucking strong, even with breaking this fucking door.
Yeah. Because the window, the doors on the left-hand side, it's like that now on Coldwind. I noticed it, and if you break the wall to the left, there's quite a bit of distance between the door and the window, so the survivor, unless you get an absolute donut who vaults a window and goes left, they're always going to gain distance turning right and running back through the abattoir, because it was just like, but yeah, I see what you mean about that. Sorry, someone...
Did McLean really say that? Did McLean really say that the window would be useless?
Yeah.
I
Like in
normally have
I'm
faith
Thompson
in
sure-
him.
House, in
I'm
Thompson
sure he
House
did.
He did. Like you look at this breakable wall here. Look at this window. The server uses this window. The killer breaks the breakable wall, and then this window is useless. It's like, yeah, but you shouldn't have done this window in the first place and just leave a hole there, so you don't create a god loop and force killers to waste time kicking a breakable wall that no one asked for in the first place. It's not a mind game. It's not something interesting interactions. It's just the stupid thing because you don't have time against efficient survivor breaking fucking doors all the time.
Yeah.
It's anti-gameplay.
It just
Yeah,
doesn't make any
yeah.
sense.
Scrub-
Like, what's the addiction to adding those breakable walls? Like,
Because
honestly,
it's easy design. Make a god
Yeah.
window, put a breakable wall next to it. Look, we made a map. It's really easy. So I get it when they throw one of them into every single map. It's like, look at this new structure. It's so new and interesting, but it's the same thing, just, with different textures. It's a barn house instead of a pit. Whether you go into the mine shaft. It's like just retexturing. It's all fucking it.
Yeah,
Some
look
of the
at,
maps even
Falling
play
Tree.
the same. Some of the Azrov's and Yamaoka's estate, they play, and the Suffocation all play the exact same way. You just try
Yeah.
to force a 3-gen on one side. Like they say they want to avoid making the maps textures. A lot of the maps already are textures of each other.
It's unfortunate.
And next up,
Like-
we need. Sorry, go on, Scrubby.
No. It was pretty unimportant. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I mean, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's been stated before, but like the way they add the breakable walls into the game is just so uninteresting. Like, it's not even at like specific points in the map where you can, like, you have the option to like break it or not. It's either I definitely have to break this wall, or there's no reason to break this wall because, I mean, especially on like Dead Dog Saloon. I mean, the shack is probably the best example. Like, you don't really necessarily have to break that, but why would you not? Like, it just makes it easier to loop the shack. But then, like, in the main building upstairs, like, there's like 3 different breakable walls on like the little like trap room. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you could vault in from the outside as a survivor, but like, there's a bunch of breakable walls in there and you can't escape. It's like they're all closed. Why would you ever break? Yeah, why would you ever break that as a killer? Why even have them there? Like, I would never break those as a killer. You're just giving the survivor an extra loop. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I mean, Renjiro's just mentioned there about the breakable walls on Dead Dog Saloon. About the one in the shack and stuff like that. And I think we mentioned that last week, didn't we? That I think Dead Dog Saloon is
Talked about
probably
this last week.
is the best map for the breakable walls because it was purely designed for that reason. Whereas the others seem to be...
I thought that, but I forgot about that fucking that upper hallway. I think kind of crushes that theory.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of like the. Okay, so like I'm kind of in the middle ground with the shack one because the shack one would have been interesting if that was on every single shack in the game.
Yep.
But because it's only on the one map and the shack is extra sized, if you break that before the pallet's down, it actually makes it more favored for survivors. If you break the wall before the pallet has been dropped, it makes the pallet more powerful because there's less room for a mind game. If that wall is like right there, then a killer survivor can always run straight forward, and then they'll never go through the window. So there's no gameplay there, you know.
You know where to add this breakable walls? In jungle gyms to fucking break those windows.
Yeah.
Like that's a good idea. Like Home Sweet Home
One pallet,
Survive
one breakable
does.
wall per loop.
You break walls and then you remove a loop for the fucking survivor. Like in Home Sweet Home Survive, you kick all the walls, you kick all the fucking lockers, and you basically make them have not a loop anymore. You just delete all the loops that survivors can use to stop you from getting to them. It's like you break things, but you have a long time thing that you break loops so they can't use doors against you anymore. Like throwing your door in your face, stuff like that. Why don't they just make breakable walls to make loops that are broken, not broken anymore, and not create more broken loops where it was before a strong loop that is now broken? You know, it's like Tom and Creek, for example. The best example is they added the breakable wall next to the window, and you have to break it or you create an infinite.
Yeah.
Why I think the breakable walls were such a failure is I think they added them onto Dead Dog and Midwich, right? But those maps were designed to have them. It's like 2 different design philosophies, like butting heads. And I can't remember which stream this was, but they mentioned that people go in and out of behavior, obviously. I mean, it's a company, people leave. So it's like those people that might be putting the breakable walls on the maps are probably not the same people that designed the map in the first place. So you have a map that was completely not even designed to have this feature, and they're trying to shoehorn the feature in on everything. Like, not every map needs a damn breakable wall. It just doesn't. They should be. They should honestly, instead of going, well, we're gonna add them all to every single map. It's gonna be fun, guys. They should look at what maps actually need them in the first place, which I would still argue is 0. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a modern and past design idea just butting heads, and it's just not working.
There really should be, in my opinion, I think there should be like breakable vaults where you can vault through it, but if you want to take the time, you can just break that so that now it's just a doorway instead of just a vault.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
that like long wall loops, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, we think, obviously we're aware a lot of maps have some bad designs. Generally, I've enjoyed the maps that have come out, the new ones, but there is still some work to do. In regards to Cold Wind, for me, I think some of the loops have got bigger. I don't know if that's
Yep,
just...
they made some unsafe loops safer.
Yeah, so they've done that, so we'll see how that is when it comes out. I'm presuming it'll come out in 2 weeks' time. Just another point about the PTB, guys. I know we haven't mentioned it yet. Demogorgon. Now, obviously,
Trash.
we had the change that came in. We then had a bit of a backtrack in regards to Rat Liver. What did you make of all that, guys?
I think he,
set up
I
opinion on
think
this.
he,
Sorry?
I think he's better, you know. He got some extra speed while thing, like the one add-on. I think it's a brown one where you have a reduced cooldown on a successful shred. That's really cool. And then you have one where if you break a pallet with it, I think it's like a faster recovery time. I mean, I'm happy with him. You know, I don't think he's any worse than he was. I don't think he's that much better, but I don't think he's worse.
Well, here's what I think. I think that they made a killer that had some depth to him that, by the way, was weak. I'll admit he was weak, but actually had some depth to him. A brain dead spam power, break the pallet, do the lunge. It's just like, after this update, Machine Gun Demo is going to be what it's going to be called, and the survivors are going to treat it like Freddy, and then it's going to get nerfed because the devs don't know how to design like actual base kits that are potent and effective and fun to go against. So they make like a brown and yellow add-on that like decrease the cooldown of interactions in Chase, which is just like, this isn't what the killer needed. You know what I mean? Like maybe an extra half meter on his lunge, or this, like not literally, but just tiny changes like that are what matter. Not going through the fucking portal 20% faster and nerfing his green add-on. And like when Demo already has some of the worst add-ons in the game. Like why does he have a purple add-on that decreases the cooldown of his power by 1.5 seconds? It's just like they don't even know what they're doing. I feel like they just took everyone's ideas and they were like, okay, nerf the purple add-on and do this, and then we'll add in 2 add-ons that are the only ones you would ever run. Because why would you ever run any of the other ones? This is brown, this is yellow, and they make you like 50% better. So it's just like, you know, it's just shitty design. But yeah, he's stronger.
What do you think of his iridescence now?
Who cares? Who cares about iridescence? That's my opinion on iridescence. Who gives a shit? Iridescence are just like, okay, you have a power trip for 30 seconds, and it's not even a confirmed win. It's just like a nice little thing against potatoes. But, you know, if the team's a tournament squad and you have the add-on that lets you see people for 3 seconds, they don't care if you see them for 3 seconds. So really it does nothing. Also, it's an Eerie anyway, so you run it once every 20 games and you forget about it. Eerie's are completely out of my mind. I don't even think of them.
Well, I made a video a while back. Okay, I don't like to plug myself, but I made a video a while back about I do this rework, kind of like Scott John's rework series before he started doing it, about how to buff everybody. And the first character I did was a Demogorgon because I just think he is in such a terrible spot. I'm excited for the one where it's like he has the reduced cooldown, like I saved the best for last on his shred. But like when I buffed him, that was a whole family for mine. Like that was 4 separate add-ons. But I think they completely missed the point of why he's so bad. And this rat liver, like, I just think it's all candy floss. Like, it's not gonna do anything for him. Like, they completely missed the point of why he's so weak. And I think it's even if it's not a nerf, it's certainly not a buff either.
He still just sucks base kit. He still sucks base kit. He's still an M1 killer at loops, and you know, on the occasion that you get to use your lunge at a long loop, which is pretty rare, because the only time you're ever going to really hit a survivor with your lunge is if they're dumb and they're out in the open. So
and they don't drop the pallet.
Yeah, that's so right. You're an M1 killer with no power, essentially.
I'll
Like, you're
say
just
one.
a bot.
I guess sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good, bro.
All I was gonna say was that the only thing I like about Demo, and I like it and hate it about him, is that he playing as the Demogorgon is as close to playing against an SWF on a regular basis as like it is actually going against an SWF. So let me explain. Whenever Demo does anything, a map-wide sound cue plays, and I mean anything. Like if he misses a shred, if he hits a shred, if he goes through a portal, if he places up everything, everything has a sound effect to it. His portals, when they're active, they make sound. So like a team of solos is going to have similar information to a team that's an SWF. So that's like something that I half like, half hate about him, because if they made his kit strong enough to complement how he literally is always telling everyone what he's doing, he'd actually be a neat killer, because he'd be consistent. He'd always be going against the same team almost. You know what I mean? So I really like that about him, but he's not strong enough to compensate for his fucking colossal weakness.
Yes.
Colossal.
That's the thing. That's what I always thought is like, why would Demogorgon, who's so like present on the map, you know he's there, why does he have like some sort of stealth things? In my opinion, I think they should remove the stealth and then buff him in different ways, because I don't understand why he has stealth to begin with when he's not meant to be stealthy at all. He's the least stealthy killer of all the killers, in my opinion.
I'd say just to make it so he doesn't make footstep sounds when he's undetectable, and then it's fixed. But
He makes too much noise in general.
everything.
I mean, what do we compare? So when we're saying a killer's bad, what we're comparing it to? Because is the Demogorgon bad against casual gamers?
No.
Yes.
Do you think?
Oh,
Yes.
I do.
you guys think?
Like
so?
you could still 4K. Don't get me wrong. You could. All right. I'll plug myself a little bit in a second here, but just for any killer, you could still 4K, but it's definitely going to be a lot more difficult than most other killers. And I say this with experience because I'm pretty new to PC on DBD. I came from console,
Yeah.
so I started at rank 20 and grinded my way down, and I have no perks on my killers except for like a few where I'm trying to like get ruin, all those kind of things in the blood web. So, but I don't want to play Hag, like that's boring. So I'll play Wraith at level 1, no perk, like 1 perk, tier 1. I got down to rank 5 with 1 perk at tier 1. That's how bad survivors are at this game.
Yeah.
And with the occasional loss, like I maybe depipped a single time in my run. That's how bad kids are. So the killer is not good. He sucks, but you can still get a 4K. And that's the problem with the devs is they look at the crap data where kids are sucking against bad killers and they're like, oh, he's overpowered. Like, no, he's not, dude. No, he's not. He's bad.
What is good data? Like, what is the good data? Because right now the ranking system doesn't dictate skill. So where would they get the good data from? That's my biggest fucking problem with the game, and why I wouldn't mind MMR too much.
I
Because
think
that's where we need tournaments, bro. That's where the tournaments come in. We need a real tournament scene for that.
You could say tournaments. I argued for a 3 playlist system. You could even do 2. But I think that you need to have some sort of way to like split the casuals from the kids who are good. And you just have to. There's no way to get consistent data otherwise, because how do you know if it's the killer being good, the survivors just being terrible, if it's the map, if it's just the RNG of the loops? Like there's no way to know. So games like Rainbow Six Siege that I have, more of my experience from FPS games, they have 3 systems, albeit only really 2 of them get playtime most of the time. But still, I understand people argue queue times, Scott Jund, but there are ways to work around that, and they definitely need to start somewhere, and they definitely need to break up the player base, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, they act like splitting the player base would like kill the game, but the game's the most popular it's ever been. You can handle a ranked mode and a not ranked mode, and you'd see a lot of people being like, "Oh, try hard," because there would be no trying hard. I'm uncompetitive or I'm not uncompetitive. That's it.
Identity V splits their lower player base and it works. Their smaller player base than Dead by Daylight, they split them and it works.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on Demogorgon? Anybody?
Yeah, I want to say why I think he's bad against casuals. But again, it's not that you can't 4K with him, because you can. But like, I played Demogorgon yesterday off stream, and that's actually who I got to red rank with yesterday. It's so slow. Like, he is so slow. He works so slow. And like in contrast to like I played Wraith. Wraith I felt so much more powerful. So much more powerful. I feel like Wraith movement across the map is overall smoother. I think Wraith and Chase, the ability to just hit and run is overall smoother than. Well, if I'm at the long side of a tile, I can totally shred and break the pallet. Like it's horrible in Chase. Like his shred is not only bad in Chase, it's horrible in Chase. And I just feel like he has no control until there's one person dead, and then you have 2 portals by every generator, and then the survivors know they lost, so they just say, okay, well, I'm not gonna play anymore. And then next thing you know, you have a 30-minute game versus a bunch of people that really shouldn't have gotten you down to 1 gen in the first place if you were playing someone else. Playing him is just miserable. It really is.
I think that's the problem with a lot of killers that just require some sort of setup, like pre-game, especially with Demo. Like in order to get his like mobility going, is you have to put down the portal, then go to a different gen or go to a different choke point, put down another portal. But while you're doing that, they can completely destroy your previous portal, so now you have to redo it again, and they're totally disrupting your setup, which takes more time. So like you're again a killer without a power at that point. Like you're just running around trying to stop survivors from ruining your game. Like you can't. He has way too much disruption. It takes way too long for him to get going. Once he does get going, he could be okay at best, but until that point, he's garbage.
Yeah, fair enough. What were your thoughts on the devs changing their mind about the rat liver?
Meaningless. It helps, but it's like in like the grand scheme of things, like they only did it because the entire community screamed at them.
Is that a good thing though?
If it's
No,
not
because
based,
the community
it's not
will
a
never
good thing.
agree again.
No?
It's not a good thing because they designed it the way beforehand because they thought that's the best thing to do. And the only reason they changed it is not because they thought it was good to change it, because people didn't like how they changed it.
Everyone
They were
didn't
wrong
like it.
because exactly. It's like it's the fact that it's even like that to begin with. Why do they think every time they buff something, they always got to take something away every time, and I don't understand why.
My question
because-
is, when's
yeah.
the last time a killer got a buff? Like, just when's the last time a killer got a buff and nothing was taken away?
Wraith.
Like, when was it?
The clown. No, I'm just joking.
Wraith.
Wraith?
Wraith?
Wraith had the
I mean,
slowdown when he's
yeah.
uncloaking.
Yep.
Oh.
Right.
I think if they took that away, like the slowdown while uncloaking, he would be at least in a much better spot. He still wouldn't even be overpowered, but he would be in a way better spot because, again, they gave him something nice, but then they have to take something nice away because they don't want him to oppress crap survivors. Because everyone's like, I can't see him. That's overpowered. Like, get a pair of eyes, I guess. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Killer,
Most of the
the
time,
last
I
killer
think
just got
Twitter...
a straight buff. Was Trickster actually? I think.
Well, no, he got nerfed too when they made it so
They
that his
nerfed his
wind down
add-ons.
period. Well, no, that and they made his wind down thing a quarter second slower. They had to take something away. They made it a quarter second slower to put your knives away.
In regards to, I know we've touched upon it, twins. Has anyone played on the twins in a PTB? How did you find it?
Boring.
I'm sorry, I did try and it's like it's bugged, the animation. When you hit someone, it like you do the animation for 3 seconds, and for 2 seconds you just stand still. Like I don't even know what the devs are doing. It's whatever. I don't play twins.
You basically get destroyed every time you hit with Victor. It's really
Basically.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
If that's not a bug and an intended change, then they broke the killer.
Especially on the new Coldwind map, I was watching a stream at night, and you know, like they had the little like cones or whatever on the ground. I was watching Umbra, and she was playing Survivor, and she was going up against the twins, and Victor literally cannot get you if you just keep circling the cone over and over and over again. I mean, maybe you can, maybe you have to have add-ons, but you know, she was just literally circling a small cone for like 5 minutes, and Victor could not hit her because like you just can't. The loop is too short. So that's just completely stupid. And then, you know, you're gonna punish Victor? Like what the heck? That's just dumb. The twins are just boring, campy, unfun overall gameplay. I think they should just that killer needs a full rework, not buffs or nerfs. They need a rework.
Yeah.
I'd say make it so you can't totally changing him. Make it so you can't down people with Victor. Give Charlotte a new tool like a power that she has that she can use to help down survivors and make Victor just charge his pounce instantly. Just make him jump onto survivors and he can only injure them. He can't down them. And then you're kind of getting closer to a normal killer. It's like a killer with a power and she has a little minion she can send out and disrupt. And that's all he should do is disrupt. It's like right now that's like you just play as Victor and then that's it. And then it's like the most boring, uninspired killer. Yeah. And they're just like nerfing it, and it's just like, okay, no one was playing it anyway. It's like you guys still did a shit job, by the way, just so you're knowing, like, just so you know, like no one cares, like, but no one's saying that to them. It's just like because nobody cares about the twins.
Yeah, but. Yeah, it was. I think it was a pretty underwhelming killer. Rosie, question for you. You might have seen this in the chat. The Beta Nurse. Ask Rosie about Identity 5 or Identity V numbers in regards to having a smaller player base. So he's saying that Identity V had 10 million active players at peak and 100 million downloads, so it's very difficult to compare with DBD. Do you have anything to say about that?
Well, downloads, you're not forgetting all the Dead by Daylight players that are quitting the game. There's a lot of deletes in there too. And then they split the player base. They split the player base between 6 different servers. So when you do all that math, I'm sure that the player bases are relatively the same across all the different servers. The Chinese servers, I think they have 2 or 3 different servers in China. I could be mistaken though. But with NA and EU, we only have one. We have one combined server, and I doubt that there's 10 million people on that one server. I doubt it. Even if you want to talk about downloads, I still think deletes and all that will factor in, and I don't think that's
I don't even know anything about Identity 5, but I mean, it seems like the guy who sent the message is doesn't understand the difference between active players and downloads. Two very different things. I mean, Dead by Daylight has a shit ton, and we only have 40k active players on weekends. I mean,
if you want to think that the active player base is better, go look at Twitch. Go look who's streaming the game. Dead by Daylight has way more people streaming, way more people talking about it. Identity V can't even break 8,000 players on Twitch. The player base, the people that at least the players that actively play the game, seriously, an active player, there's way less of those.
Yeah, I can personally attest to this because I play a lot of Overwatch on the side, and same thing with as far as viewership goes. And they even have a professional esport. DBD isn't even at that point yet, but you literally have professional players. This goes with balance, but you have professional players who are literally leaving the scene, retiring within 1 season of playing because the game is just unfun. It's unfun because the devs aren't in touch with the player base. They have no idea what they're doing, and they try to balance around the casual, and it ends up backfiring. And no one wants to play essentially pro players in Overwatch. They just leave the game. Because they can't stand streaming it. It's unfun. They get burned out so quickly. It's not even funny. So many streamers that I grew up watching playing Overwatch that got me into the game quit within 1 to 2 years because they just can't stand it. They don't know how to balance the game. And the same thing's going to happen with DBD.
And
they don't even have a tournament.
It's happening already. A lot of big streamers that are top 1% because it's not hard to be top 1% in this game. It's harder to be top 1% in Apex, where you have a lot of good players. But then just the community is trash, and it's not hard to be in a top percent. And those players are I'm tired of losing towards people that just do mechanically broken stuff like gens, It's if I beat them in chases, if I play perfect in chases and I still lose to generators, it's did I play wrong, or is it my fault that I lost, or is it just because the game is unbalanced? And that's what happens. It's you never lose because the other person was better. It's because the mechanics are broken. With the gen stuff, with all the gen speed, with people spreading on multiple gens. What can you do as a killer? What can you do against that? You have to down people fast. You have to mind game. The only thing that you can do is outplaying them with unique mind games, and then you get top survivors in a 1v1. But then what can you do against the other 3 survivors that are still there? It's it's way too much towards a broken, not balanced mechanic this game has. And if skill would matter, then if you beat all 4 survivors in 1v1, you win the game. Basically, and that's not.
And happening. Then the last thing I want to say about Identity 5 is if you truly believe that Identity 5 has over 100 million players on every day, look at how good competitive and MMR balancing can do for you, bro. Let's go ahead and put it in our game.
The problem I'm just extremely concerned about. I mean, probably everyone here is as well, but maybe not. But the problem with behavior is they have a serious issue on their hands where they have the luxury of being the only game at like with such recognition in this industry right now as far as like a horror 4v1 asymmetrical game.
Yeah.
They don't have any competitors, like major competitors as of right now, with like the same level of recognition, the same level of monetary backing. They don't have any competition, but when that does come into the market, they're going to be screwed. We've again, going back to Overwatch, I don't want to keep jumping off Dead by Daylight, but that happened with Overwatch, and the reason why players got burned out is because a game like Valorant came in, took away all the players, and you have a game that gets monetary backing. They care about their player base. They make proper balance changes. Now, I don't play Valorant all that often, so I can't really speak to balance, but you have another game like Rainbow Six Siege who doesn't lose their player base at least to the same extent, even with Valorant coming in, because they balance correctly. Like, you need to balance your game. The clock is ticking and behavior needs to act fast, because once a game comes in and gets it right, they're screwed.
It's really interesting the amount of people that jump ship. Even if when a game like that new one came out, the Survive game, I forget what it's called.
Home Sweet Home.
Interesting. Home Sweet Home. It's interesting how many people they just try it. They jump ship and try it instantly. They don't have, and there's no game loyalty in this player base at all. Like, they jump to Home Sweet Home instantly, even though it has no chance of actually passing DBD. You can't pass DBD without an IP. I said that last week. But it's like the amount of people that try those games should scare behavior. It really should.
Yep.
I agree. I mean, it's always... I downloaded Home Sweet Home after our chat last week. It's not going to... And people will probably jump on this straight away, like, give it a chance. But I'm not here out of sentiment. I want to play a game I enjoy. And currently, I do enjoy Dead by Daylight. I'm not going to sit there and go, Home Sweet Home, it's a little indie company, If the game doesn't excite me, it's not going to excite me. And I think that's the issue at the moment is, I can't remember who it was. I wish I wrote the name down. Someone had put a video out. He only released it yesterday. I will get his name and I will mention it next time. And he'd put on about the comparisons between Home Sweet Home and Dead by Daylight. And I was watching the video and I thought, he's hit the nail on the head. Home Sweet Home isn't a competitor. I know people are hoping it's going to be, and they'll say, give it time, give it this. But what Dead by Daylight does well is the grind, is the fact that I want to keep improving in it. There's all these different killers, things like that. And I haven't got the time to switch between two games. I know a lot of content creators are pushing Home Sweet Home now, but like you were saying, it's, for me, a game's got to grab your attention straight away. Dead by Daylight done that when I first started playing it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here doing it. But Home Sweet Home hasn't quite done that. Has anyone else played Home Sweet Home? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's all right.
Yeah.
Nothing groundbreaking, but it's good.
Yeah, but would you put the time and effort into it over DBD at the moment?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd give it a try. I've been playing it a bit with my friends, but it just, I don't know. I prefer the survivor role in that game at the moment, just because there are American servers, or no, there's not. There's only European servers, and sometimes you don't even get them. You just get an Asian server. So I am half waiting for those servers and half maining survivor right now. I think as soon as they come up with servers, I'm gonna really, really try and stick to that game and see how it pans out. Once I'm actually a dedicated player of it.
It does a lot of things better than Dead by Daylight. For example, you have no cross healing, so injuring people actually matters in this game. If you injure someone, the survivor is injured for the whole game. If he gets lucky and gets a med kit or something from a chest, and it's RNG based what they get from the chests, then they can heal themselves for a half state. But if a killer gets someone to injured state, they will stay injured for the entire game, because there's no healing each other and stuff like that, which allows the killer to actually split pressure between multiple survivors and juggle better back and forth. And then you have to think that they have to search for stuff before they can do the rituals. So they have to search for chests again, which is the second objective that people were talking about Dead by Daylight for a long time. It's like first of all, the rituals take a long time to be completed. It's 2 stages. The first stage is 45 seconds. The second stage is, I believe, 4 minutes. And you have to find items first. You have to find an incense to start the ritual, and then you have to find a nail to pin the figure of the ritual to the wall when it's finished. So to start those things, you have to search those boxes. So you have more time as a killer to actually break those walls, those doors, those things that survivors can use to hide from you. You have more time. It's like having a time management as a killer is actually rewarding in this game, because you don't feel like you have a clock on the whole time at your following you. You're not playing against the clock. You're just having more time of actually doing something, and split pressure is actually rewarded in this game. And it's not rewarded in Dead by Daylight, because it's like, look, you can't split between 3 gens that are across the map, and you can't really, but you can teleport to gens, to rituals, and you can teleport directly to survivors. That allows you to have more pressure immediately, and it does a lot of things better than Dead by Daylight does. And it will not survive because it's not a big game. But I hope the bigger content creators stay on it. Like Trickster Shadow started playing it, Monto Play started playing it, and I hope they bring more attention to this game, because it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, I've only played it once. I've only played one night of it. It was all right. I wouldn't say it was particularly exciting. It didn't really excite me. It was okay. But I think they were up against it. Yeah. Sorry, Scrubby. Go ahead.
Is that game like easier to play than it looks? Because I've seen like a stream of Farmer John streaming it one time, and the overall layout just looks super confusing. So I don't know. Is it like way easier to actually play than what I'm seeing?
Or 3 games to get it. It took me about like 3 games to like understand the base mechanics. But basically, like a very quick synopsis: the killers all work, and they all are viable because all of them share 2 of the same abilities. One of them's a block for blocking survivor attacks, and the other is mobility for crossing the map and telling you where survivors are. So this game isn't about hiding with iron will, and like, you can juke the killer and everything, but it's temporary, and the killer can come back around and get you. And it works because if the killer, let's say the killer does hit you, but then you'd use one of those drop down things that give you a free escape from the killer. It doesn't matter. You took damage from the fall, you took damage from the attack, the killer applied pressure to you. Now he can split off and go for somebody else. The problem with Dead by Daylight is that if the chase doesn't end with a down, it's a loss for the killer. Because the survivor can just go heal in 2 seconds or 16 without a medkit. So it's just the game works more on like a baseline standpoint, and if anything, it's just a little it's just empty because it's new. That's the only problem with it. It's new, and it needs It needs US servers too, because it's like almost unplayable for me because of the servers. I have 260 ping.
Yeah.
So, but I really want to give it a chance. I love it.
Do you see any licensed killers coming to Home Sweet Home?
Maybe like from Japanese horror movies or something like that, because the game is in that region. Who knows? But it's not going to be like Jason Voorhees.
Here's my question, but I haven't played it. But like my question is, like, when you're looking at these types of games, when I think when the game comes out, this is just a pattern that I picked up on. When the game comes out / low level, the games always tend to be killer sided.
It's not killer sided. It's not killer sided.
So my question is like the longevity. Like, do you see what do you see in the long run for the game? Like, do you think the survivors are gonna get good and then we're gonna have a problem? Like what do you think about that?
The game is fun when survivors are good, and I love that. I actually went against a good survivor team. I was like, yo, this is fun as fuck. Like, it was crazy intense. Like, we were all like having a back and forth and everything. It felt like interaction. It genuinely was refreshing. But I've only been against one good team so far, so that's all I know. But that one game was a blast, and that's like scary for Dead by Daylight. My 4th game, and I'm against a god team, and I'm having fun getting shit on. Like, how is that? Like, that means they're doing something right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that leads into my issue with like Dead by Daylight, or something that they should aim for to make their game a little bit more interactive and fun for everyone. And I mean, it's just all in the vision of the game. Like, what do the devs see for what they want for the future of their game? And it would be almost a complete like U-turn of where the game would be going. But I think a game like Friday the 13th is really a great example of where I think Dead by Daylight should be heading, because as far as the survivors being able to fight off, Jason, fight off the killers, but also the killer can kill the survivors. There's some power level there. Let the killer be super powerful, but then as the trade-off, let the survivors be able to actually defend themselves. And I think that's the issue with Dead by Daylight is since there's no like really defense mechanism for survivors other than just straight up looping, like there's no fun level, there's no fun factor, interactivity, there's nothing. The killer is just, oh, I'm gonna chase you around a wall for like 5 minutes. Like what kind of fun is that? Like
No,
Jason can
do mind games. It won't do shit.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right.
You can't just run a tile normally and then expect something to change. Like if you think a killer has to be that powerful in a loop, then you don't know how to mind game. Like you can't just red light fake mind game and expect the best survivors to fall for that shit. You have to be innovative, creative in ways you can confuse a survivor. I faced a killer that was just playing Beyblade at the wall, and I didn't know where the fuck he was. Like his red stain was everywhere, and then he just moonwalked into me. I was so confused. I was like, "Well done, killer!" Like holy shit, who is spinning like a Beyblade and it works in the end? It's like the standing still mind game at the T-wall. You know,
That sounds fun.
they guess wrong, and you are just standing still, and then they have no clue where you are, and then think, okay, I can just run the T1, and then they run into you. It's like the tofu mind game, or how it's called. It works because people don't expect it, and against higher level players, you have to be more creative with mind games. But the mind games is the one thing that makes a killer be able to 1v1 a good survivor. But if you expect them to you just do the job because you don't have to go deep into the game and don't get the mind games done. If you fail in the mind game, that's for you. You have lost the chase. You have to go and search for another survivor. You can't just win every chase if you fuck up your mind games. And that's something like what I see in a lot of things where they complain about how survivors side this game is. It's like, yeah, but you probably don't think too much about how you mind game. You just do moonwalking and stuff and then expect to that it works. It's something like, and when I hear it, you just run in circles and then just don't run in circles and make something else out of that. Like, they probably fake your direction. If you have a wall in there, you can, when you lose line of sight of the survivor, that's your time to do a mind game. And if it works, because it's creative, you will catch the best survivor in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still not fast enough. But I get what you're saying, though. You're right about the whole, like, look, Scruffy, look, I don't want to, I'm sorry to go back to this, but I actually gonna hard disagree with the whole like add fighting to Dead by Daylight. I think Dead by Daylight like carves its own like piece out of the genre because it's so unique in that aspect. The real problem with the game is just the map design and like the lack of interactivity in loop design. But I mean, if that gets fixed, I think the game doesn't need fighting. Like then it's just every other game. Like
it doesn't even
fix that.
Yeah, it doesn't even need fighting necessarily. I just think like just having some more interactivity from the survivor side other than just gen jockeying the entire game. It's either you're on gens or you're looping. That's pretty much it. Like it's just 50-50 one or the other, or you're just doing nothing productive in the game pretty much. Whereas like at least in a game like Friday the 13th, not necessarily as far as like going to, kill the killer, but there's things you could do where it's not just, oh, I'm doing gen or I'm chasing. Like you have to like find parts, and I think that's one thing that Scott John mentioned as far as being able to provide some more interactivity for survivors. Make it so there's some objective outside of the gen. I think all of us can agree with that.
Yeah.
There needs to be something for the survivor to do that's not just, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to throw the game and not be on a gen? Like, you can't really get mad at them for doing their objective.
They would like that. Survivors would like that. If they added like gasoline cans to the game or something, they would fucking love that.
I believe that too.
And I think that
I would play more Survivor if they added that. Like, because I want to feel like I'm actually surviving, I'm not feeling like I want to bully a killer. I want to feel like I have to do something to actually survive. And in Home Sweet Home Survive, if you try to bully a killer, they bully you. And that's the best thing. It's like you can't 1v1 a killer in Home Sweet Home Survive. And that's how Dead by Daylight should be. It's like it's a team effort. And you see in Home Sweet Home Survive with friends is still fucking broken. Because you have communications and you already have a chat function in Home Sweet Home Survive. So even solo queue is not as worse as people think it is, And you see it with the survivors having to search for the stuff they need for the rituals. That gives a lot of more tense feeling of, and you're actually scared when the killer finds you because you can't do objectives right now. and the killer's on your ass. So it actually feels more like an interaction between, oh fuck, survivors are scared of the killer because the killers are way too powerful if they know how to play him. And that's what Dead by Daylight is missing, is the point of actually bringing these interactions in a way that it doesn't feel like the survivors are way too powerful, but they actually have to do something to survive, and they don't get it handed just because they play the game.
Here's my thought process, and I just want to hear some feedback on this. I kind of had some thoughts behind the scenes about what they could do to at least make a step in the direction of more interactivity or diversity, I guess, on the survivor side. What would you guys think about them making each survivor have some sort of unique skill, not just unique teachable perks? That's boring because inevitably all survivors could just get that. Like, that's not fun because it's just a grind more so than anything else. But make it so, like, I mean, let's just use the default survivors, for example. Maybe Meg is faster in running, but she's a little bit slower on gens. Like, she repairs slower, but she can run faster in chases, or she's more stealthy. Make it that way, and make Dwight or, you know, Jake or whoever, you know, you could just stick on whoever you want. Make them, you know, faster repairing gens, but maybe they run a little bit slower, or they vault a little bit slower. Just something that creates diversity amongst the survivors, other than just really all you're playing for is, wow, my survivor breathes louder. Like, I'll never play
So
Jeff.
basically, identity, because they have unique survivors.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
Honestly though,
I
I have actually fully fleshed out like this idea in like a Google Docs document or whatever, and I made like a bunch of different traits and just evenly distribute them among survivors. Like, David King is strong and he's fierce, and strong makes you stun the killer for 10% longer, and fierce makes you wiggle out of the killer's grasp 8% faster. And there's like, and it scales
So
based
you
on
mean
your
like
prestige
traits?
level too. Yeah, that's what I just called them. And they'd also escalates based on like the prestige of your character, so that prestiging would actually have a purpose. So let's say I'm Jane Romero, I'm prestige 1, I heal others 10% faster, I stun 4% longer, and all those numbers go up by like 2% with each level. And like that would be a great way to encourage progression and encourage prestiging, because right now there's nothing that encourages.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is super pointless to prestige whatsoever than just getting a bloody piece of clothing. Like, there's absolutely no point other than bragging rights.
Kirk, I would like to see that document if you will ever
I want
open
to see
sharing
it
it.
as well.
Yeah, maybe you can put it in the Discord, Kirk, at some point, and we can have a read of it. That'd be quite interesting. I like the idea, but looking at it from the flip side, there's probably quite a lot that would need development in that sort of idea. But I do really like the idea. I think the survivors should have
But
their
just
own
think about
traits.
it. Like,
I mean,
Survivor and Identity V.
Yeah.
And I'm raining killer in Dead by Daylight because Survivor's such boring in fucking DBD.
The only...
And then Survivor in the Identity V is like, oh, you have 2 people that are good in chases, you need 1 guy that sits on gens, and 1 is harassing the killer.
Yeah.
You know, like getting the saves and stuff. You don't just pick someone else and just pick a character that you like. You pick a character that's in a certain category. You have support, harasser, looper, and gen jockeys. And then you have the basic team, a balanced team of multiple traits, and every character, every survivor has Mali and Bonai, and those they can loop faster, are slower on generators or stuff like that, and that works, and it makes Survivor actually fucking fun because it has a tactical aspect in what Survivor are you playing. Do you play cowboy with a lasso that can basically stun the killer, pull the killer away, and then you can stun him when he hits the wall or something like that? It's like it gives you a tactical depth in how to play, how to build a team of survivors. And if that would be Dead by Daylight or something like this, it would make survivors way more interesting and would actually encourage team play.
Yeah. Well,
okay, I agree, but there's something there's a concern I do want to bring up. A major reason that it works in Identity 5 is that it's not just stat boosts. Like there is like each survivor has like unique powers and traits, and I think a reason like for example, Perfumer can like spray her perfume and then get hit, teleport back to it, immediately heal off the damage. Like, they have their own powers. Like the killers have their own powers. It's more than just a stat boost. Do they have the stat boost? Yes, they do. But the problem is, like, because Identity 5 is more of a fantasy, it's like horror fantasy. And because they have that fantasy genre in there, they can get really creative with the powers that the survivors can do. With Dead by Daylight, then not them lacking that like fantasy element and just it's more grounded in our reality. It's going to be harder to design unique survivors. I think beyond just stat boosts. That's the only concern I have.
But I would like to see the work as well, if you don't mind, Kirk. If you can put that in the Discord, that would be amazing. Guys, I'm conscious we are running out of time now. I need to get myself ready for work. Merv, are you still there, Merv?
Yeah.
I know you were really keen on speaking about Legion. We're going to end on the Legion. So tell us what you think about him.
Yeah, so when I missaid it by telling you that Legion is one of the 3 worst killers, but people say any streamer, even as Darva said, he's one of the weakest killers in the game.
Yeah.
And as a Legion main, if I thought otherwise, I would get mad at him, but I'm kind of not, because he is one of the weakest killers in the game and pretty unplayable in red ranks. Kind of feels good at the purple ranks, but what the problem is, there are 3 aspects that need to be reworked in Legion's case. Is fatigue, maybe the frenzy duration, because on open wide maps you frequently won't be able to injure enough survivors to capitalize on injuring people and downing them quickly, as Legion is supposed to be played. Yeah, what I think generally is fatigue needs to be bumped to 3 seconds from 4 seconds, because 4 seconds is kind of it's the longest fatigue in the game. Even Nurse has 3 or 2 seconds fatigue if she blinks twice, and even if she blinks 3 times with that red add-on she has. But yeah, Legion in Trickster. If Trickster wasn't that weak when he released, and even now when he got buffed, there are even people that say that Trickster is stronger than Legion. In some case, at some point, yes, Trickster can actually down with his power, which Legion will never be able to do, even with that screwed up add-on purple one. What's it called? Frank's mixtape, yeah. Used to be OP. When I was on Tatario's stream, I said like there's one thing I would like to bring back.
Yeah.
Old Legion is the ability to use frenzy when it's charged on 30 or 50%. So with this change, they wouldn't actually have to touch the purple add-ons. Frank's mixtape would be a pretty decent add-on if you could pop frenzy almost whenever you wanted. Like if it's 30%, like it makes this zoom sound and it tells you that you can use your frenzy again. But the distance you're going to be running with your ability is going to be obviously shorter, because you're going to pop your frenzy when it's 30%. It used to be 50, even it used to be even more broken. You could pop frenzy when it's 10 or 15% charged, but okay, make it 50%, and then you're gonna get some value of purple add-ons, the stab wound study, which is useless. Well, it actually makes Frank's mixtape down people with 4 frenzy strikes, but
yeah. So what would be the change that you'd bring in now? Then you'd change the frenzy. In regards to,
there are 2 ways it can go, but changing frenzy is a good thing. But I'm afraid it would be broken again if Legion could use his frenzy when it's 40-50% charged. So everyone would be abusing and spamming Frank's mixtape. Like you get a stab, you get another stab, it will kick you off a frenzy, and that person will lose 7 seconds of his depung timer. Then you wait 20 seconds, not 20 seconds. I mean, with this change, it's going to be 10 or 12 seconds for your power to recharge for half. Then you pop it again, then you strike him again for the 4th time, and he gets down. That's going to be a little time-wasting thing, but it's going to be actually better. But there's another way how to do it.
But is that, Merv, is that how he was before, though? Wasn't he way to get multiple frenzy hits, but everybody hated him?
What I'm trying to figure out, I think it wouldn't be OP if Legion could pop Frenzy when it's charged on 30%, and leave Frank's mixtape as it is right now. So the thing that annoys me and kind of makes me uncomfortable that Legion's one of the killers which add-ons is pretty useless. Along with Pyramid, his purple add-ons are useless as well. I mean, it's not supposed to be like that. Add-ons supposed to make killer power more efficient, more strong, I guess, right? It's an add-ons, so it doesn't have to be crazy like it used to be. So if they don't want to touch his power, then they can make Frank's mixtape do something else, and it would be great as well. I mean, but what I'm suggesting is just allow Legion to use his frenzy when it's charged on 30%. Leave Frank's mixtape as it is. Make Stab Wound study do something else, and reduce his fatigue from 4 seconds to 3 seconds, the basic one, and remove the Joey's mixtape. So we don't need like double fatigue add-ons, because good Legion on red ranks relies on fatigue add-ons because they're the best ones for him right now. Even and yeah, about the pink ones, the iridescent button is fine. The fuming mixtape, it's basically like Wraith's pink red add-on, which allows him to see the progression of generators when he's cloaked, and the same with Legion when he's in frenzy. You can see the progression. Yeah, that add-on would use a rework as well.
Yeah.
So that's my general thoughts on.
Yeah, and I think what the devs are saying, the devs are sort of moving through the killers. I believe Legion might be coming up soon. I don't know, because last time they did say they were going to rework Freddy, Huntress, and Demogorgon. Them 3 are done now, so it'll be interesting to see. I think there's probably a few killers that need some little slight tweaks there.
Please buff Myers.
Please buff Myers. Yeah, come on. This is like an
remove even within one and let
horror icon. Yeah, you know.
I don't know what that mean, but they posted some pictures of Legion on Instagram when the exhaustion icon and two arts for Legion. Maybe it's some kind of hint that
maybe Legion is going to be part of the next update. When I say next update,
I mean, there's no way Legion is not going to get balance pass like Clown. There has to be something.
Yeah.
And the chase music, please. Okay, I don't care about balance. Just give him a chase music. I need a frenetic, menacing chase music, like edgy one, so I could feel that I'm. So like, if it's Myers, they know it's Myers. That they hear the terror radius, and like in Legion's case, it would be like, oh, they hear the edgy music. It's Legion. That would be very cool.
Yeah. Please just don't make it like the Clown. Please.
Oh, the Clown music.
Or the Tricksters. Those are awful.
Yeah, holy shit. Clown, man. Oh.
I'm sorry, I like clowns. I'm an asshole, I know. I'm sorry.
Are you serious? That's like a teacher. It's like you are in a fever dream. So
I like it. It's something I like it. I'm sorry.
Right, guys.
I like the snare.
Yeah, I will say last things about Legion. So, the fatigue, the purple add-ons, the one eerie add-on needs to be reworked. Presumably, is going to be with the balance pass. And I hope the new chase music is going to happen as well. And there you go, Legion is going to be fixed. That's super easy to make.
Fingers crossed for you. I will be looking out every time there's a PTB. Any time there's a patch update, I'll be like, please for Mev, let's get this Legion changed.
Not only for me. Not only.
I know. For all you Legion mains out there, yeah. Right. Any other thing, guys?
All 7 of you.
I got one more. So my Legion change is nice and quick, but I'll just get over it, as fast as I can. How about for every person that the Legion stabs when in his power, the frenzy becomes more potent. So how about first person he stabs reduces the cooldown of it by half a second, and then you do another half second. This is his after stun, by the way, not the actual 20-second cooldown. But like, what if that stun decreased if you got a whole bunch of consecutive stabs, so that you can stab the last person, and then your stun's only 2 seconds long, and then you can get right into a chase on that guy, down him, and that's like some pretty good early game pressure. And then also it would get faster for each person you stab too. So you could, you'd actually be able to go chain from person to person. That's my idea.
that's a great idea, but once again, Legion needs a good 1v1 tool. And what you suggesting is once again, it's pointing him to be 1 versus 4. He has a good 1 versus 4 ability already, so he needs something against in 1 versus 1 cases. So that's
You know
a
what I'm
good
saying?
change.
That after
That's a good
power
change.
stun that he has would be only 2 seconds if he got like a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that would actually help him in chase.
So it's
would help
rewarding
with
him.
body
It's
blocks
rewarding
and
him.
stuff.
Yeah.
It would be better if the basic fatigue would be 3 seconds, and with one add-on, it's 2.5 seconds. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
It used to be 1.5 seconds in PTB when it came out.
Red Rum did put on there, I think it's probably tongue in cheek, but come on guys, wear these nerf buffs because she has the least kills, which is true. The nurse has one of the least kills. So, yeah, I'm sure that
Right.
was pretty much tongue
Oh,
in cheek.
dude, check out my
I think-
video.
I think
How
she
to
should
buff
be able to
nurse.
throw her weapon.
Yeah,
She should be able to throw her weapon, and she should also be able to one hit down all the time.
right.
Infectious Fright as an add-on. Where is it, bro?
Yeah, built in. So, Rosie, you've got a video about buffing a nurse. We will check that
Yeah,
out.
of course.
Yeah, I'll go check that out and see what needs to be done to the nurse. All right, so
Yeah, she
that's,
needs buffs, bro.
that's it for tonight, guys. So thank you very much for all the guests that have come on. Airless, Captain Salty, Kirk, Merv, Rosie, and Scrubby. Thank you very
I
much,
wasn't
guys,
late
for
this
giving you
time.
time.
Thanks for having me.
You weren't late. Yes,
Of course.
no
My
problem at
first
all.
live podcast.
Thank you to all the chat and your questions and chat as always. So if you do have any more questions or anything, I have got a podcast questions server in the Discord, so please feel free to go in there, and if you put it up during the week, and I'll make sure I ask it at the end of the week. Next week we'll have some more new guests on, so we've got another YouTube content creator who's hopefully going to come on and discuss some of the points. So that's it, guys. So I will see you all. I have got a video coming up soon. I'm going to try to edit it now, maybe today, maybe early in the morning, and that is
That's
me.
interesting, Jay.
That
It
is
better
m-
be that Blight video.
I have got, you know, Rosie, I've got four Blight videos. I
I've
played
been waiting
Blight
for that
a lot. Yeah.
Jay Blight video.
Yeah,
Dude. It's just not coming.
Blight'll be up tomorrow. Blight'll be up tomorrow. The game I'm going to put up is Freddy against Brother Phoenix and his Swift team. They are a tournament team, and you might find it of interest and watch. So that'll be coming out. As I say, if I can't squeeze it out tonight, I will
It's not a
make sure it's
tournament
out
team.
there
It's a
tomorrow.
tournament level team. It's not a tournament team. They're
Hi-
not competing in tournaments.
Hi-
But you can say they are a top team.
Yeah, I can say that quite confidently, Captain Salty. Are they a top team? Brother, are you still in the chat, actually?
They are a top team.
They are a top team. Right, so me versus a top team. So
Damn, Jay, he just made you look good. Holy shit.
I'm gonna try to make this video look good. So right, guys, so again, thank you very much, and we'll go off air now, guys.